The month of February forces a lot of us to think about love a whole lot more. If you've been in Ingles or shopping anywhere, no doubt you've seen the heart-shaped candy boxes, the cards, the chocolates, the teddy bears with cute little signs on them, all reminding us of how important love is as we come closer and closer to Valentine's Day. But long before love was a holiday in the United States, love was known as the heartbeat of God. It was something that God carried with him from the very beginning and still carries with him even now. This February, we are starting a new sermon series, and even though the snow has us locked inside, I still want to start it. It's called Love 101, an Introduction. Throughout the Bible, there's lots of themes about love, but we're only going to focus on a few short movements for this series. The first one, we need to begin at the beginning in the book of Genesis. Specifically, Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 31. These verses describe the sixth day of creation, the day of creation that God made male and female, and he called them very good. Now, the way that this creation story is described, God says, let us make humans in our own image. It's almost like the Trinity is with God at the beginning, and they are clear that creating humans is not something accidental, it's not something rushed, but it's deliberate. God deliberately calls for human beings to be formed. He says, let us make. I don't know how skilled you are around crafts, but maybe you've been around a master craftsman. Maybe you've seen Bob Vila's TV show when you were a young person. But when you watch a master craftsman get to work, one thing that you'll note is the time, the attention, and the care that they put into each movement and each new build. You don't just put a house together, but it takes skill and a vision. I'm saying all this to say that you didn't just come together because some cells happen to be in the same area. The Bible begins with this idea that you and I are not a biological accident, but we are deliberately called for, asked for, designed by God himself. And I also want to point out something else that's happening here with that statement, that let us create them in our own image. That let us, that God says, is really interesting because it lets us know something about God. God's not lonely. God has beings around him. God has himself that he can love. God is not lacking love. God is not lonely, but God creates anyway. Creation is an overflow of God's love. When I was in seminary, we talked about this idea that God had so much love, it was like a cup spilling over. He needed something to send his love to, so he created the world, he created you and me. God's love is all throughout this creation. And the other thing that the Bible tells us is God is love. So we exist because love wanted someone to share their life with. We exist because love wanted you and me around. We are the only creation, if you follow the story in Genesis, that is made, formed in the dust. We exist because God got his hands dirty, and we are created in the image of God. Other things were created as God spoke, but God wanted to make, design, and form each one of us. And as he did, he put that image of God on every single human being. That means that you and I, we are designed for love because we were designed and imprinted with the image of a loving God. We are designed to send out love, and we are designed to receive love. And in a world with brokenness, that can be hard. Maybe you've noticed that sin and evil corrupt this ability for some of us to send love and receive love. We're bitter or we're broken, and we don't feel like being very loving. But that doesn't erase our design. Not feeling loving doesn't erase who God created you to be. You were designed and calculated by a God who is known for being loving. 1 John 4:19 says that we love God because he first loved us. It's a call back to Genesis. And if we look at the love in those early roots of humanity, Genesis is the early seeds of the gospel. Love is not the reward, is what I'm saying. Love is the beginning. Love is the ground that we stand on. Before we did anything, God let us know that we were loved, called for, and wanted. Verse 28, after God creates male and female, it says, God blessed them. So the first word spoken about creation, about human beings, men and women, was not that they're sinful, they're lustful, they're arrogant, they're prideful. It's that they were called for and blessed. The first word spoken about you before the law was given, before sin was described, was that it was a blessing for you to appear in this world. Verse 28 says, God bless them. Blessing is the starting point of every human being. Being called for is the starting place of every human being. And sometimes we live in a world where we have to prove ourselves. We have to be enough. We have to be pious or high religious for God to notice us, or to care for us, or to want to engage with us. Genesis 1 breaks all that apart. It says, before you did anything, God sent his love for you. Before you created anything, God was pleased at your existence. Maybe you're having some stillness today because of the snow and the ice. Maybe you are sitting at home. And if you are ever feeling overwhelmed, or even just now, let me invite you into a small practice, a breathing exercise, a breathe in and a breathe out. It's a mantra. As you breathe in, I want you to say, loved into existence. Loved into existence. And as you breathe out, I want you to say, I rest in your love. I rest in your love. On the days that you feel like you need to prove something to yourself or to others or to God, go back to this mantra. Breathe in, love into existence. Breathe out, I get to rest in God's love. And maybe that will help center you for the days ahead. Grace and peace.